May his soul rest in peace. Madam Speaker, may I request you to invite the honourable members of the House to observe 1 minute silence in his memory.
The Honourable Deputy Prime Minister, not just yet. Not just yet.
Madam Speaker.
Yes.
I join with what the Prime Minister. I join with what the Prime Minister had said, Madam Speaker, and I express my deepest sorrow at the loss of a great Pope and a true friend. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also join the Honourable Prime Minister and the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and request you to convey our deepest condolences to the Alévêché de Maurice et Madam Speaker, Pope François was a pope for the poor, and all throughout he's been with the poor and supported them, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Yes. Honourable members, I wish to associate myself to the solemn tributes expressed by the Honourable Prime Minister and the Honourable Deputy Prime Minister and the Honourable Leader of the Opposition on the demise of His Holiness Pope Francis. In recognition of his profound legacy and unwavering commitment to humanity, I will, of course, transmit the condolences of the whole House to the je dirais à l'évêché. I now invite honourable members now to rise and to observe a minute of silence as a mark of respect to the memory of Pope Francis. Thank you very much. You may be seated.
Papers have been laid. Motion.
Prime Minister.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that all the business on today's order paper be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10.
The question is that all the business on today's order paper, be exempted from the provisions of paragraph 2 of Standing Order 10. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Statement by Ministers none. Public Bill second reading.
Yes. Honourable Prime Minister.
Yes. Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2023-2024, number 2, number 8 of 2025, and the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2024-2025, number 9, be read a second time.
The motion needs to be seconded. Thank you, DPM. You want to say a few words?
Yes. Madam Speaker, with your permission, I beg to move that the following two bills be read a second time and considered together. These two supplementary appropriation bills expose once again the irresponsible fiscal stewardship of the previous government. In fact, they confirm what everybody in Mauritius knows. That is, the previous government has dilapidated the finances of our country and left public finances in an unprecedented mess. This has been confirmed by the IMF during its recent Article 4 consultation mission in Mauritius. This mismanagement of public finances by the previous government has also been confirmed by the report of the Director of Audit. In fact, the report has exposed a number of scandals and malpractices that have resulted in wastage of public funds, misallocation of resources, and substandard outcomes. Madam Speaker, we are introducing the two bills by virtue of the provisions of Section 105, subsection 3 of the Constitution, which stipulates that where in any financial year it is found that the amount appropriated by the appropriation law for the purposes included in any head of expenditure, which we know as vote on expenditure, is insufficient, or that a need has arisen for expenditure for a purpose for which no amount has been appropriated, then a supplementary appropriation bill needs to be introduced in the National Assembly to provide for the appropriation of those sums. What is scandalous, Madam Speaker, is that the first bill, Supplementary Appropriation 2023-2024, number 2, should have been brought by the previous Minister of Finance, especially as he had the opportunity to do so in the first Supplementary Appropriation 2023-2024 bill, which he introduced in May of 2024. The more so that some expenditures, such as the increase in pensions, were already known at the time. He simply did not. It is awkward now that I should be the one to bring the Supplementary Appropriation 2023-2024 bill to the House. The previous Minister of Finance has actually spent money that wasn't there and obviously wanted to avoid the scrutiny of Parliament. Nevertheless, in the spirit of the Constitution, let me come to the first bill, that is the Supplementary Appropriation 2023-2024, Bill number 2. In June of 2023, the previous government presented an appropriation bill for a total sum of 174.8 billion rupees, which was in respect of services of government for financial year 2023-2024 under votes of expenditure number 73. In May 2024, the government introduced a supplementary appropriation bill for an additional sum of 6.7 billion rupees. Out of this sum, 1.9 million was for the payment of compensation to Patel Engineering Limited following the award by the Permanent Court of Arbitration in respect to the termination by the then government of the lease agreement of a plot of land situated at Tessaline. This amount excludes another 315 million rupees, which was paid as fees to the legal advisors of Patel Engineering Limited. This is yet another case of wastage of public funds resulting from sheer political vendetta. Another example of expenditure arising from mismanagement was the 500 million rupees channeled into Mobank through Mobank Holdings Limited, in addition to some 5.1 billion rupees already injected into the bank since its creation. Now that the accounts of government for financial year 2023-2024 have already been audited and the report of the Director of Audit has been tabled before the National Assembly, there is need to regularize the excess expenditures incurred under the 5 votes of expenditure. The total amount to be appropriated is 2.8 billion rupees. The additional appropriation required are as follows: 197,000 rupees under vote 1-2 of the Office of the Vice President, mainly for maintenance of vehicles. Second, the 2.4 million rupees under vote 1-5, Office of the Electoral Commissioner, essentially for the purchase of equipment for the 2024 National Assembly elections. Third, 63.8 million rupees under vote 118 for the Financial Crimes Commission to enable the Commission to meet its operating expenses. 2.6 billion rupees under vote 92 for Social Security and National Security Solidarity, mainly due to increase in the rate of basic pensions as from April of 2024. And lastly, 90.7 million rupees under vote 15-1 for the national infrastructure, mainly for payment of claims in respect of construction and upgrading of roads. Madam Speaker, the figures clearly demonstrate the irresponsibility of the previous government in public finance management. They announced a budget deficit of 2.9% of GDP for the financial year 2023-2024. but they ended the year with a deficit of 5.7%, almost double the initial target. The public sector debt figures are more telling. They have been boasting that they had achieved their objective to bring down public sector debt to less than the statutory level of 80% of GDP. They said they would bring the public debt to GDP ratio at the end of 2024, June 2024, down to 73.2%. Instead, Madam Speaker, they increased to 84%. Let me now come to the second bill, Madam Speaker, the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2024-2025. In June 2024, the previous government presented a budget of 216.8 billion rupees for the financial year 2024-2025 under votes of expenditure number 72. The 2024-2025 budget is yet another showcase of fiscal irresponsibility. On the one hand, there was a gross exaggeration of the revenue figures, and on the other hand, there was significant under-provisioning for expenditures. This was done only to show a lower budget deficit and a declining public sector debt to GDP ratio, yet in another attempt to hoodwink the population. Once again, an illusion. The Supplementary Appropriation Bill that we're discussing today makes provision for an additional appropriation of 21 billion rupees under 5 votes of expenditure, where sums initially voted would not have been sufficient up to June 2025. It is worth noting, Madam Speaker, that 9.3 billion out of the 21 billion is mainly a result of under-provisioning by the previous government for some original projects and schemes. 2.1 billion is for new decisions they took during the course of the year, for which no provision was made in the budget. And the remaining 9.6 billion rupees is for the special effort that we did for the payment of the 14th month bonus and the 2025 salary compensation to protect the purchasing power of the population. Let me point out, Madam Speaker, that 90% of employees in the public and private sectors, as well as pensioners, benefited from the 14th month bonus. Madam Speaker, the 5 votes of expenditure that require supplementary appropriation are as follows. First, 1.3 billion rupees under vote 3.1 for housing and land use planning for the payment of 315 million rupees for legal representation to Patel Engineering Limited, 435 million for additional expenditure in connection with the construction of 466 social housing units, and 550 million for the acquisition of land for various projects. Second, 600 million rupees under vote 6.1 of the Ministry of Land, Transport and Light Rail, now known as Ministry of Land Transport, in respect of decision taken for which no provision was initially made. These include the 30% increase in the subsidy payable to bus operators under the free travel scheme, and financial support provided to bus companies for the payment of the wage relativity adjustment. Third, 5.8 billion rupees under vote 9.2, Social Security and National Solidarity, to cater for the payment of the 14th month bonus to beneficiaries of the basic pensions, increase in the rate of monthly child allowance payable to retirees, widows and disabled individuals having dependent children, and the payment of bad weather allowance to professional fishermen. Fourth, 1.5 billion under vote 18.1 for the Ministry of Health and Wellness, mainly to clear arrears in payment of overtime, as well for overtime arising from delays in filling of vacancies, for increase in prices of medicine, drugs and vaccines, and payment of arrears for settlement of arrears in respect to medical disposable and equipment. Finally, Madam Speaker, 11.8 billion rupees under vote 26.1 centrally managed initiatives of government to cater, 1, for the payment of the 2025 salary compensation to public officers, 2, for the payment of an allowance equivalent to 5% of the basic salary, subject to a maximum of 2,000 rupees as from the 1st of January 2024, to public sector employees covered by the PRB, pending the implementation of the next PRB report that will fully address the issue of salary relativity. Third, for payment of the 14-month bonus to civil servants and workers working in parastatals, statutory bodies, and local authorities. Fourth, for the transfer of to the National Environment Fund to meet expenditure on different projects. Fifth, for additional transfer to the National Resilience Fund to meet new expenditures and under provisioning. Sixth, for the transfer to the Poverty Reduction Fund in respect of the implementation of the Prime à l'Emploi scheme. Seventh, for additional expenditure for the CSG income allowances and CSG child allowance due to higher number of beneficiaries. And eighth, for the purchase of special drawing rights from Ukraine under the IMF voluntary trading arrangement. Madam Speaker, it is worth noting that out of the total of 21 billion supplementary appropriation, some 5.9 billion will be for the transfer to special funds, namely 3.9 billion to the National Resilience Fund, 1.1 billion to the National Environmental Fund, and 900 million to the Poverty Reduction Fund. The previous government has depleted the cash balances of these three special funds, which was 36.8 billion as of June 2022. As announced in the government program, there will be a reassessment of these funds and appropriate actions will be taken in the forthcoming budget for their consolidation. This will also be in line with the recommendation of the IMF, which asks that we streamline and limit spending from special funds. Madam Speaker, in the budget speech of 2024-2025, the previous Minister of Finance announced, and I quote, "This year we have achieved our objective to bring public sector debt to less than the statutory level of 80% of GDP. By June 2025, we'll be largely below the statutory level and closer to our medium-term goal of 60% of GDP," unquote. However, the actual situation is the complete opposite, as I mentioned. Owing to the legacy left behind by the previous government, the debt ratio is now expected to increase to over 90% by the end of June 2025, well above the statutory level. The budget deficit would be 9.5% of GDP against initial estimates of 3.4%. Never in our history of public finance management has there been such gross exaggeration of revenue and underestimation of expenditure. This government, Madam Speaker, is fully committed to a responsible approach to fiscal stewardship. The days of reckless spending on white-on-effort projects, and giving out frivolous allowances and increases as was practiced by the previous government are now things of the past. In view of the disastrous state of public finances that we inherited, our top priority is to implement a credible medium-term fiscal consolidation plan that will bring down the budget deficit and public sector debt to sustainable levels and ensure medium-term macroeconomic stability. We will put our resources where it will have the highest impact in advancing our economic development and uplift the living conditions of our people. Madam Speaker, we will rebuild the fiscal space, promote economic growth while at the same time protect the most vulnerable. Details on the item of expenditure concerned, as well as explanatory notes that are set out in the estimates of the supplementary expenditure, which have already been laid in the National Assembly together with the supplementary appropriation bills. Before I conclude, Madam Speaker, I would like to inform the House that there has been a typographical oversight in the schedule of appropriation 2024-2025 bill. Under the heading of vote of expenditure in Schedule 9.1, it should have read 9.2. This will be corrected. With these remarks, Madam Speaker, I commend the bill to the House.
Motion to be seconded. Deputy Prime Minister. Yes. Leader of the Opposition, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity today to intervene on these two supplementary appropriation bills, which is a normal process, and this will not be the first time or the last time that we are voting supplementary appropriation bill in this House. I share some of the views expressed by the Honourable Prime Minister, but not all, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, today we are tasked in this August Assembly to vote for two estimates. The first one for an amount of 2,800,364,000 rupees, and the second one, 21 billion rupees. And I take note, Madam Speaker, that a huge chunk of this amount will be used to cater for social benefits under the Ministry of Social Security and National Solidarity, such as pensions, child allowance, and CSG benefits. And I believe this is the right thing to do, Madam Speaker. There is also a considerable amount of money which is being allocated for the 14-month bonus. I do commend the Honourable Prime Minister for honouring this commitment, which was first made by l'Alliance Les Peuples, that is the 14-month bonus, and then l'Alliance du Changement followed suit, Madam Speaker. Although that 14-month bonus was promised across the board, we know that only those earning a salary less than 50,000 rupees benefited from the 14-month salary. Madam Speaker, with your permission, I would like to dwell a bit further into the details of the bills, such as, for example, item 31113-003 on page 14 of the estimates regarding the construction and upgrading of roads.
I'm sorry. Maybe you might want to keep this for the Committee of Supply in a while?
Just a few words, Madam.
Okay, but general.
Yeah, because it deals with the construction of public infrastructure, and I believe it is vital to improve traffic. For example, as stated...
Yes, one moment.
Which bill is referring to?
Yeah. Tell us if it's a first or second bill.
The second one, Madam.
Second bill, all right.
The second one. Like I said, Madam Speaker, it is good to improve public infrastructure, especially this deals with the improvement of traffic in the regions of Vakwa and Kuepip, and it will also provide access for those traveling from airport to Fikofla. Madam Speaker, I also note that provision is also being made for further improvement of road infrastructure towards Gangatalao to facilitate pilgrims' access during Mahashivaratri, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, now coming to the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2024-2025, I noticed that 235 million rupees is being allocated as child allowance and another 300 million rupees as CSG child allowance to cater for the higher number of beneficiaries. We know that initially it was for an amount of 2,000 rupees, and it has been increased to 2,500 rupees in the previous budget, and would have been increased, like I said, to 5,000 rupees had the Alliance Les Peuples won the last general elections. I'm not sure if the present government will increase this allowance, but I would urge the government not to remove this allowance in the forthcoming budget, as many young parents, Madam Speaker, depend on this sum to cope with the increase in prices, which has impacted products which are directly related to a baby's well-being. Madam Speaker, same goes for the CSG benefits and the CSG income allowance. I see also a sum of 350 million rupees and 1,150 million rupees is being voted in this bill, and we know that around 500,000 Mauritians benefit from the CSG allowances. Now, Madam Speaker, depending on the category of workers, these workers can earn between 1,000 to 3,000 rupees every month, and I believe it or not, Madam Speaker, this made a huge difference for those employees whose earnings have been heavily impacted by the constant increase in the prices of commodities over the last 3 months, and coupled with two other issues, that is the increase in repo rate and the maintaining the prices of mogas and gas oil. Again, Madam Speaker, I will stress on that. That is, government to give due consideration in maintaining the CSG benefits to all the beneficiaries, as this is a sum that helps and supports a lot of Mauritian families. Now, Madam Speaker, let me come to salary relativity adjustment. The previous regime introduced the minimum salary in 2018, and this has consistently been increased until we have reached a guaranteed minimum wage of 20,000 rupees. And I believe this also, Madam Speaker, helped Mauritian families to meet the increasing cost of living. And I'm sure maybe in the forthcoming budget, there will be an increase in the minimum salary. However, Madam Speaker, salary relativity is essential to ensure that all categories of workers, be it in the public sector or in the private sector, earn a salary that is worth their position, experience, and effort, and I'm sure government will address same. Let me sum up, Madam Speaker, by saying that when it comes to social agenda, this government will have my full support. And I reiterate, and I hope this doesn't fall in deaf ears, Madam Speaker. There is a huge effort that has been made over the past 5 years to reduce inequalities between categories of workers and social groups. The introduction and constant increase of the minimum wage, coupled with other allowances such as the CSG allowance, the child allowance, have helped support vulnerable families, especially in the wake of an increase in prices of basic commodities. So, to conclude, Madam Speaker, I will urge this government, if you do not intend to increase those allowances, at least leave these facilities and allowances untouched. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you. Yes, Leader of the Opposition.
Madam Speaker.
You're winding up speech.
Yes, I'm winding up, but I can't find the reference in the second bill about construction that you mentioned, that the expenses. I don't find, maybe it's in the first bill.
Yeah. Honourable Prime Minister, it might be easier for everyone if the Leader of the Opposition will take it up again when we reach Committee of Supply. Because now we're making an overall...
Yeah, then you can do...
Yeah, if you don't mind, Leader of the Opposition, you can come back on this later on. Okay, at Committee of Supply.
He's got no supply.
Let us have your winding up speech, please.
Just to say, Madam Speaker, that is very plain. That I've said it at the beginning of my speech. They've just spent money that wasn't there. So what did they do? They printed money. Any young person here who has done economics would know what happens when you print money and you put it in circulation. You increase inflation, you depreciate your rupee, and you create prices go up. This is what we're living with today. People expect magic. We're trying to stabilize the rupee and to make prices go down. But it will take time because this is what has happened. So much money was put in circulation. I'm surprised that, in fact, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition even wanted to speak on the bill, because that is the situation. And when we arrived, we had promised the 14 months. We did at the maximum that we could absolutely wreck the country, the economy, just because we didn't even know that you had done so much damage. So this is what we have done, and this is why I'm saying that it's very simple, Madam Speaker. We can only make sure that we bring the debt level down. It cannot be 90%. If we do that, the Moody's will absolutely surely want to downgrade us, which we don't. We want to avoid. if Moody's downgrade us, it will be not because of us, it will be because of you, but the consequences for the country is going to be terrible. We'll become a junk, they will describe it as the junk state, which means there will be no investment. Nobody would want to invest in a country where you're not sure. A junk state means that you invest in the country, but you're not sure you'll get your money back. Who will invest? So this is why we want to avoid a downgrading by Moody's. Absolutely we want, but the situation is terrible. 90% of debt doesn't mean we have to do a lot of effort to bring that down. I don't know when we talk about statutory 80%. When I was Prime Minister, it was 60%. Maybe during the year when you came, you increased it to 80%, I don't know. But it was 60%, and when I left in 2019, it was just below 60%. Yeah, 2014, just below 60%, 59.8 something percent. But it was below 60%, below the target. This is what they've done with the economy during the 10 years. So this is what I want to say, Madam Speaker. This is what we are trying to do, and this is what we will do.
Will you please commend the bill again to the House, Prime Minister?
I commend the bill to the House, Madam Speaker. Both bills.
Both bills, and both are being seconded by the Deputy Prime Minister. Yes? The question is that the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2023-2024, number 2 bill, and number 8 of 2025, and the Supplementary Appropriation 2024-25 bill, number 9 of 2025, be read a second time. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Public Bills Committee of Supply.
Honourable members, before we proceed with the Committee of Supply, I have to inform the House that an indicative time allocation has been worked out and agreed upon by the whips in regard to each vote item wherever applicable. As we proceed, the time allocation will be announced, and I will exercise some flexibility wherever the need arises. We will proceed page by page for the orderly conduct of the Committee of Supply. I further wish to draw the attention of honourable members to Standing Order 73.3, which reads as follows. Discussions at the committee shall be confined to the details of the estimates and shall not refer to the general principles of government policy and administration. I appeal to honourable members to be brief in their questions and honourable ministers to be brief in their replies. I rely on your collaboration. We will start with the consideration of estimates 2023-2024, number 2 of 2025.
Vote 1-2, Office of the Vice President.
The question is that the sum of 197,000 rupees for vote 1-2, Office of the Vice President, stand part of the schedule. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it. I didn't hear.
Vote 1-5, Office of the Electoral Commissioner.
The question is that the sum of 2,435,000 rupees for vote 1-5, Office of the Electoral Commissioner, stand part of the schedule. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it.
Vote 1-18, Financial Crime Commission.
The question is that the sum of 63,835,000 rupees for vote 1 to 18, Financial Crime Commission, stand part of the schedule. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it.
Vote 9-2, Social Security and National Solidarity.
The question is that the sum of 2,643,188,000 rupees for vote 9-2, Social Security, National Solidarity, stand part of the schedule. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. I'm trying to look. You look on this side and you look on this side. Ministry.
Vote 15-1, National Infrastructure.
The question is that the sum of 90,691,000 rupees for vote 15-1, National Infrastructure, stand part of the schedule. Those in favour say aye, those against say no. The ayes have it. The question is, I do report to the House estimates of the supplementary expenditure 2023-2024, number 2 of 2025, has passed the committee stage without amendment. Those in favour say aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Consideration of the supplementary appropriation 23-24, number 2, bill number 8 of 2025. Clause 1, short title. Schedule.
The question is that the schedule stands part of the bill. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Clause 1, short title. Clause 2, appropriation of sums of supplementary expenditure in respect of services of government.
The question is that clauses 1 to 2 stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it.
Title and enacting clause.
Question is that the title and enacting clause stand part of the bill. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The question is that I do report to the House that this supplementary appropriation 2023-2024, number 2, bill number 8 of 2025, has passed the committee stage without amendment. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. I will resume my chair. Je ne sais pas si c'est à moi. Thank you. You may be seated. Honourable members, I have to report to the House that the estimates of supplementary expenditure 2023-2024, number 2 of 2025, and the supplementary appropriation 2023-2024, number 2 bill, number 8 of 2025, have passed the committee stage without amendment.
Public bills, third reading.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the Supplementary Appropriation Bill 2023-2024, number 2, Bill number 8 of 2025, be read a third time and passed.
Yes, seconded by the Deputy Prime Minister. The question is that the Supplementary Appropriation 2023-2024, number 2 Bill, number 8 of 2025, be read the third time and passed. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against say no. The ayes have it. We got a bit of time, huh? Continue. plutôt, là.
Public Bills Committee of Supply.
Okay. I'm sorry, it's very complex. I'm sure the young people are not really understanding what's going on.
Sorry, madam.
Thank you. You may be seated. Ouais, allez.
Consideration of the estimates of supplementary expenditure 2024-2025 of 2025. Vote 3-1, housing and land use planning.
The question is that the sum of 1 billion. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah, I want,
One,
with regards to,
come on. Let him speak, please. Please.
yeah, but committee, I said
Your
down.
committee. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for
I
telling
would
me.
like to know, for the construction of social housing units, I see there is 466, provision for 466.
Let me at least, maybe you should allow me at least to go through that, and then I will give you time to speak on that item. Is that what you want?
Okay.
Is to speak on that item. Okay. I was saying the question is that the sum of 1,300 million rupees for vote 3-1, housing and land use planning sent part of the schedule. Now you want to query that? Yes, please.
So I would like to know, firstly, Chair, for the 466 housing units being constructed, can we have an estimate of completion? And secondly, the total number of housing units.
No,
Committee of Supply,
committee.
you don't stand up.
Committee. We're all learning.
No.
Some are not. I'm learning. Don't worry. Don't worry.
You don't stand up.
Minister will reply. You finished?
Yes.
Yes,
So my
Minister.
question is the estimate time
Yes.
and the total
Total
completion under that project.
Yes, Minister.
Madam Chairperson, there are 466 as per the document that has been circulated, houses. And for the completion dates, there are different dates there, and I can table the document. But for Solitude, 17 units have already been handed over to beneficiaries.
Can't hear you, Minister. I'm so sorry.
That is quite rare.
It
So-
probably is me.
It's age, I guess.
Say it again. Say it
I
again.
say it again. So 17 units have been handed over to beneficiaries for Solitude. 1, Melrose, progress status 86%, expected completion date 31st of May 2025. Solitude 2, expected completion date June 2025. Henrietta, expected completion date 30th of July 2025. Wootton, completion date expected completion date August 2025. Sebastopol, expected completion date 31st of August 2025. Cat Coco, 31st of August 2025. And Camp-Itier, 31st of August 2025. As I've said, it's 466.
Okay. Let me just clear the issue of procedure. It seems il y a un flottement parce que à l'époque vous étiez toujours resté assis, n'est-ce pas? We just checked when addressing the House, a member must stand up. Okay? It's not a question of committee of supply or not, but I'm sure that it is because at one point you were all. Are you happy with the answer, Honourable?
Yes, the second question I had was for the total project of construction.
Yeah, maybe he didn't give. Did
Because
you
this
give
is
the total?
supplementary appropriation. I wanted to know how many houses were completed under the construction, the whole.
Under that particular item, there are 466 houses, and the project cost is for 1,460,000,000 742,759.32, and the total expenditure to date is 400,801,828.04.
Okay. Honorable Juman, yes?
Thank you, Chair. On the same item number.
Same item, yes?
Yes. Can I know from the Honourable Minister the total amount paid as consultancy fee, and if you can table the list of beneficiaries?
Madam Speaker, Madam Chairperson, I do not have the detail as far as consultancy fees are concerned, but I undertake to table it. However, as far as beneficiaries are concerned, it would